We met in Parliament last week with Croatian delegation. Thank you for coming so quickly.
With pleasure.
Yes, thank you. You are direct on the so you get the point.
I'm coming from.
Thank you very much.
What is important, as I said, we need that we maintain.
By one. I feel like Angela Merkel finally.
Ksenije nema.
Mikroiznenađenju htjeli smo malo označiti evo tu 5. godinu, to je ipak jedan polujubilej. Hvala ti puno, Vinko. So hello dear guests, our next speaker is coming directly from Brussels. Please give a warm welcome to European Commissioner for Agriculture and Food, Mr. Christophe Hansen. Mr. Hansen, please join me on stage.
We had a conference and a rewarding ceremony to have young, dynamic, innovative farmers, and it was the 10th edition where they got a reward for their exceptional ideas. And then, of course, we had as well a meeting with the national parliament, so it was very important to learn as well what is going on in the agriculture and food production sector in Croatia.
Croatia is full of adventures, so we are glad that you are here and that you experience what we have to offer. As a first question, I would like to talk about you, about your private life, if I may. So you come from a farmer's family. What does that mean? Did you actually participate in farmer's life? Did you work on the land, or you just, ran away to the city as soon as possible? How was your path?
Well, I always wanted to become a farmer. I come indeed, I'm a farmer's son and a farmer's brother, so I grew up on a farm, but I'm number 7 of the children, so we were 7 children back home. I'm the youngest, so the farm was already handed over to my brother, but until my studies I passed every day, so the first thing I did when I came out of school, I took off the school clothes and went into my dirty shoes and boots and joined my brother and my father on the farm. So I did indeed the farm job until I was 19 years. Then I got to university and studied environmental sciences, which is not directly agriculture, but has a lot to do when it comes, for example, to risk management, water scarcity, etc. So there are a lot of things that joined my university course afterwards.
And
since I have experienced it, there are many nice parts of the job, but there as well a lot of challenges and less nice parts. And I think that is something that has come more difficult over time. That there is a lot of administrative burden where our farmers need to cope with. There is a lot of challenges, for example, due to climate change, water scarcity, but as well more often very dramatic weather events. There can be droughts, but there can be as well floods. So it is a huge challenge for the farmers. It is a hard work, definitely.
But I think that it's nice that you have this kind of experience so you can understand them better because you worked on the farm. I think it's a good thing. It's an advantage for your profession.
Well, when I go to the different member states, and Croatia is now number 15 in the less than 6 months that I'm in the mandate. I've been to Croatia sometimes before, but this was rather for private reasons. But it is always important when you speak, that you speak not only to the politicians, but that you speak as well directly to the farmers and as well the civil society that is working hand in hand with the farmers, because there you get the real feeling. And I think I have a good touch because most farmers clearly see that I know what I'm speaking about and that I know how to drive a tractor and how to plant whatever crop. It is very clear that our agriculture production all over the continent is very different from one member state to another, and often even inside the same member state that is very different. What struck me was, for example, the difference of organization of farmers, because we often complain, or farmers complain, that they don't get a fair price for their products. And then when you go into the details, you often see, I'm coming from Luxembourg, but I see as well in France and Belgium that farmers are very good, strongly organized in cooperatives or in in producer organizations, and then they have a way stronger position to negotiate, for example, with supermarkets or with traders, so they often get better prices. When I come to the newer member states like Croatia, but as well like in the Baltics, they are often less organized because, let's say, a cooperative or a producer organization has a bitter taste for historic reasons. And that is something where I think we need to do a lot of work, that they understand that this working together can not only enhance their position in the value chain, that they have get better prices, but they can as well reduce their costs if they are sharing certain machinery, etc. So there's a lot to do there. Then, of course, we have different sizes of farms, farm structure. I was in Estonia, I visited a farm of 10,000 hectares. When you go to Italy, you often have, I think the average size is around 10 hectares. Here in Croatia, we are at 8 hectares, which is the average size. So there is a huge difference indeed. And then, of course, the challenges. I went to Valencia, which had a huge catastrophe by the end of last year, a huge flood that cost life to more than 200 people, but as well the whole devastation that was still visible 4 months after that dramatic event, where the citrus fruit production sites have completely be taken out of production, rice fields that are completely destroyed. So that was really shocking to see this direct impact of climate change there as well. But I think our farmers, they are very much aware of these challenges due to the climate change, because I believe they are the first victims of climate change, but they are as well our best line of defense, because they own the land. They can adapt as well their production with certain agro-environmental measures that can retain water when there is too much water, and give it away to nature when there is not sufficient water. So there's a lot of potential that we can use. I also see that they have a huge potential, for example, to produce renewable energy, and that there is a lot that they could do more, and I think that is a potential where we need to tap in. Then what struck me as well, when I traveled to the 3 Baltic states and Finland, they have a common border with Russia.
Okay.
And in these regions, if there wasn't agriculture and forestry and the entire economy that stands behind that, with the infrastructure, that would represent a huge weakness to the European Union. Finland, for example, has 1,340 kilometers of common border with Russia. If there wasn't agriculture and forestry, there would be nothing, and it would represent a huge vulnerability. So I believe that our farmers can deliver on food security, energy security, but as well on physical security, and that is why this common agriculture policy that we have, that has proven over time that it can not only deliver healthy food for all citizens at affordable prices, but that also other security dimensions are covered with it.
You stay.
Unfortunately, this time I'm not very long time here, because we have planned, I had an entire day of meetings today with the Parliament, with the young farmers, with you, and
Thank
congratulations. You. I think it's the 5th edition.
5th edition, yeah, we just celebrated together.
Congratulations for that. And then tonight I will see the Minister, because we have as well a lot of things to discuss, because we have recently presented a simplification package that will help a lot the Croatian farmers as well, because we have made huge simplifications, especially for small farmers and for organic farmers. We have as well delivered a flexibility to the member states to deal with crisis and compensate farmers if they have losses, for example, due to droughts, but as well due to animal diseases. So we have a lot to discuss. That is today. Tomorrow I will see the Prime Minister as well, because we will have a lot of discussions about the future multi-annual financial framework and the agriculture budget in that. And then we have a good closing, because we are going to visit a wine producer, a Croatian wine producer.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Exactly. And I'm very much looking forward to that, I have to say.
Okay, it's a busy schedule. So did you have any chance to try maybe some Croatian products? Maybe some wine or some food. Did you get, some feeling of Croatian brand? Do you have some experience that you can share? Okay, this is really good. This should you use as a Croatian brand?
Well, I had the opportunity today to taste one of your traditional desserts, but I have forgotten the name.
The name? Bayadera. Ah, okay, the chocolate.
Bayadera, which is
Chocolate.
this multi-layer chocolate, and it was very nice, I have to say. But yeah, of course, you have many other products. I had as well the opportunity when we were at the Young Farmers reward ceremony to see what certain producers are doing. And there was a young lady who got a prize as well because she started to produce, for example, more exotic fruits like avocados, for example, that usually or historically we imported a lot from other parts of the world, but where we have opportunities. And I like that very much, that the young farmers are going into new productions where the consumer is really asking for, and that is something where we need to support them as well. A general problem that is that we have less and less young farmers, and we have, for example, in the European Union in general, there's less than 12% of EU farmers that are below the age of 40. And the average age of the European farmers is above 57 years of age. And we have lost over the last 10 years 3 million farms in the European Union, and there are roughly 9 million farms left. So we can't afford to lose even more farms, and that is why we need to create again the right environment for our farmers in order to take up that duty of ensuring food production in all our regions. And that is why in the vision for the future of agriculture we have highlighted a lot of initiatives that we are going to take over the next years in order to make it again more attractive for farmers to come into the job. And I was asked when I was just in the parliament, here in Zagreb, one of the members of parliament asked me about the reputation of the farmers. And often in society, farmers have over the last years been a little bit into the corner as responsible for a lot of issues like water pollution, etc. But as I said, the farmers are as well the first victims of this water pollution or of droughts, climate effects. And for me, I think they are as well they are the first victims, but as well the best line of defense. So we have to encourage them with a new approach on this sustainability aspect that is a very important one, where we work rather on incentives, attractive incentives, in order to encourage farmers to do and adapt those practices. I think that will be very much key, but there are a lot of other challenges: the access to finance, the access to land, where we are doing a lot of work now, because we know as well that in a lot of member states there are people investing into agricultural land that are not farmers, and they are in the end raising the prices for the land, and then a young farmer that wants to start the production can't compete with them, and there we have a lot to do to make that more attractive again. And then of course what often young farmers say, the excessive administrative burden, and there we have recently presented the simplification package from which I spoke a little bit earlier, but there are more to come. Because if you have chosen to do that job, you didn't choose it to fill in mountains of papers. You chose it because you want to work with nature, because you want to work with the animals, because you want to produce food for the society, and that is something where we need to give them again more time to do what they really chose to do and not all the other stuff.
So make this job more attractive to them.
We need to make it more attractive again, definitely, yeah.
Do you support the development of the organic sector? Is it important to you? Do you believe in its potential?
Well, we have aspirational targets to have more organic production in the European Union. And when you speak to the farmers, to the organic farmers and those who want to do it, it is again about administrative burden that is often, let's say, letting them hesitate to do it. And there, in this simplification package, we have now specific simplifications, because a lot of the requirements to be an organic farmer are covering other paperwork and conditions, the so-called conditionality, where the farmers have to do. So we have freed them now in this simplification package. It still needs to be adopted by the European Parliament and the Council, but we make it easier on that side again. And then the other part is, I was at the Salon de l'Agriculture in Paris, and I spoke with the organic farmers, and they showed me the figures on how there is a correlation between the purchasing power of the French people and the buying organic, because organic is a little bit more expensive, it is a fact. But if people don't get to the end of the month with their salary, how are they going to spend more? So that is why a lot of consumers are looking into the cheapest opportunity. That is a problem. But I think we have possibilities as well at national and regional level to encourage further, because we need to create the demand, and if the demand is there...
Educate people, what organic, it is people. Expensive.
That is very important in general education. Maybe I can make another point on that. When, for example, public canteens in schools make their public procurement, who is delivering the food, it is very important that they go into organics, seasonal, and as well regional products, because they are complementary. And I think there is a lot of average of things that we can do as well at national level, and that needs to be leveraged as well. But just one remark that I forgot a little bit before, when we spoke about education and the reputation of farmers. And that is something we really need to work on if we want to make it more attractive again. And I say this as well in the parliament before, I'm becoming a big fan of Austria.
Why?
Because Austria has a special approach, for example, to encourage young farmers. They have the highest percentage of young farmers of all the member states, and they have combined this with a pension scheme, a retirement scheme that encourages let's say the old farmers to hand over their land to the young farmers. This is one part of the solution, but as well they have highly invested in education. They have I think over 70 different agricultural, environmental, etc. schools, and they are all full. And people are really willing to do that. And when you speak, and they had done as well, and they give them as well the opportunity and the funding to make new innovative projects that are not, let's say, the historical production of cereal or whatever, but to go into new directions where the market is really asking for. And that is something I think where we can do way more, because if we have to compete on global market prices, we are, with our labor costs, etc., with our high environmental standards, we often are not competitive. But I think in this niche production, we can be very competitive. And there they fund the young farmers as well to go into new directions, to go into unknown terrain, let's say. And it is not a bad thing if you fail in the first time. And when you go then, they made a survey as well about which jobs have the best standing in society. Number one were the doctors, okay. Number two were the farmers. And that is quite unique, so they have a very high standard because they are, let's say, the custodians of the typical landscapes. With the farming activity, they maintain that the vineyards, on the mountain regions, the specific character, and they have a very high standing. And that is something where I think we have to inspire ourselves how to do that. And that is something where we should look a little bit beyond our own national terrains, and that is why I'm going as well to the different member states.
So we should copy the Austrian model because obviously it functions.
Apparently it functions, yes. But as well, as I said, we have to say, as I said before, to have these, and they have very high percentage of organic production, by the way, as well in Austria. But you always have to see, we need the general economic development as well, because the purchasing power is as well one of the conditions that people are able to pay a price that is a bit better. But as well, and you mentioned it before, it is very important to educate as well the consumers and to create meeting points in whatever, that can be local markets or whatever, where the producer and the consumer look each other into the eyes. And I think if that we can make it happen more often, the consumer will as well be willing to pay a little more price, because in the supermarket you often don't know who is standing behind that product. There are people working hard every day standing behind those products, and that is something we need to highlight better.
We should build a bridge then between consumers and the producers, the farmers. You're currently working on the future common agricultural policy. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I think what I can already tell, a lot will depend, of course, on what will be the financial means. But nonetheless, I think what is very clear, we have to make this support for the farming sector better targeted to those who need it most. Because if you have, I mentioned you the example of a farm of 10,000 hectares, a farm of 10,000 hectares has different needs than a farm that only has 10 hectares. And if you just have then a blunt payment per hectare, that doesn't make sense, because you don't help sufficiently the smallest and you overhelp, let's say, the big ones, because there is economy of scale. And that is why I believe we need to speak about digressivity of those payments to better help the small family farms, to help better young and new farmers, and to help better farmers in regions with natural constraints that have to cope with different, more difficult conditions. That is one part. Then I want to move away from a top-down approach where there is just a target that we throw out and everybody needs to comply with it without delivering the possibilities. So I think it has to be more incentive-based rather than top-down. And then also it must be more territorial and more tailor-made, because one size does not fit all. We are too different from one region to another, and I think this is something that we need to take into account. So these are some of the principles I want to build in.
Good afternoon. My name is Aleksandar Mešić, and I'm a dean of the faculty. What are the key factors contributing to the low productivity of Croatian agriculture?
Well, that needs, I believe, a deeper analysis. But I think it is a lot of factors, and I think we have a general issue. For example, that we are very slow when it comes to on plant protection products. I'll just give you an example that we are taking off active substances that are used to protect the crops, but we are very slow on delivering the alternatives. And I spoke recently to a startup that is working on biopesticides. And they said, well, we are going to move to the US. And I said, why? They said, well, in the US, and this is something that is not posing problems. It is not a chemical product, it's a bio plant protection product. And they say we go to the US because there we are on the market in less than 12 months. In the EU, this takes from 5 to 8 years, and then still we need to make an approval member state by member state. If I was a plant protection producer, plant protection product producer, I would then, in that case, firstly go to Germany because, or to France or to Poland, because those are the bigger producers. And then these products come very late to the smaller member states. I'm coming from an even smaller member states, so that is indeed a huge challenge. That might be one part of the explanation. The other part is as well because we are not investing sufficiently anymore into the technological development. And the European Investment Bank has identified that there is an investment gap of 62 billion that was in 2022 in investment in the agriculture sector. And if you don't invest into the newest technologies, if it is a machinery or whatever, or something that is using water more precisely, well, then you have less productivity, you are less sustainable, and then the output is, of course, less as well. And that is something where we need to think about how we can address those. Those are some of the examples, but I think those need to be tackled as well.
Yeah, just a brief comment from the Dean of Agriculture.
Thank you a lot for your answer. I was specifically asked about how do you see as a relevant authority in agricultural field, how do you feel, what is your opinion about the differences, the large differences in productivity in Croatian agriculture sector comparing to EU averages?
Well, that is partly due to the structure. You have a lot of small farms. And I think then, of course, on the smaller farms and on regions where you have a lot of hilly regions as well, you have a lot of stress on water, etc., etc. So there are a lot of factors that influence the lower productivity compared to other member states. Because if you go to regions where you have, let's say, richer soils, where you have better water availability, where you can work on a different scale, your productivity will be higher, of course, and that is factors that are needed to the structure. But I think as well we need, and I mentioned this in another part when I was speaking about better prices for the farmers, our farmers need to get better organized as well, in order that they can pool as well. For example, if they invest in machinery, that the machine is not only used on one farm but on several farms, and that is something where you can significantly reduce your input costs as well. So those are some factors. What is the exact reason why the Croatian production per hectare, for example, is below other parts? Well, it is a multifactorial answer, but there you need as well to look into the details, the agronomic details that maybe the minister knows better than me.
We'll ask the minister then privately. And the last question here on the second row.
Thank you. My name is Sajana Radic. I represent Croatian Chamber of Agriculture and Copa Cogeca as well. 2 days ago, we had a protest about new multi-annual framework, a financial framework, and I would love to just point 3 things. Today we are at green Zeit. Zeit means time, and today we have green Zeit, war Zeit, and trade Zeit. So we have 3 different risks that are surrounding us. And my question to you, what we can expect from new framework, how to prevent these risks, and also can we expect some cuts, and how this will be also framed? Thank you.
To start with the last part, if there are cuts, that depends heavily on what the 27 member states are willing to give into the EU budget, because if they give less, and you know that we have as well, for example, certain loans that the European Union has to pay back. The Recovery and Resilience Fund, that has, by the way, been largely used as well here in Zagreb after the 2020 earthquake to rebuild certain buildings. Those funds have been used for that, but they need to be paid back at some moment. And now the discussion is starting on the MFF. How are we going to pay back these loans? Is it going to be out of the budget, or is it going to be paid out of new own resources, or are the member states willing to contribute more? If member states contribute more, then of course it will be easier to maintain the budget. What I think is very important to say is, from my side, of course, I would love to have more budget, but then the member states need to give more into the common pot. Are they going to do that? I doubt it. So I think first the question needs to be asked to the member states, do you want to contribute more to that budget? Because in this, currently, the member states are giving, let's say, 1% of their GDP into the EU budget. And 1/3 out of that is for the agriculture part. And I say this is 0.3% of our GDP that we are investing into food security, food sovereignty, and as well, I mentioned in the beginning, in a certain part as well, energy security, physical security. And then I say also, it is the 0.3% of our GDP. It's not just the primary producer, the farmer who is planting his potatoes or whatever. It is as well the entire industry that is producing the machinery before. It is the food processors that stand behind. It's the hospitality sector. So there are so many other sectors that benefit as well from good quality products in a sufficient quantity and that are really healthy as well. And I think that is something what we clearly need to say. Is it worth spending 0.3% of our GDP on our food security, food sovereignty, and everything else that is behind? I say clearly yes, but there are the other players come in, and that is something where I clearly say as well, I don't want to depend on imports from third countries where we don't have a control on the quality, where we don't have a control on the quantity, and that is why I am fighting for that. I have a mission letter that I got from the President von der Leyen herself, and this clearly states that we need a specific and a commensurate budget for European agriculture, and if there would be additional requirements to the sector, this should come with additional financing. Another part in that is as well political guidelines by the President herself, where she says that an income support will always be important for our farming sector, and I think that is very clear as well from the treaties, because in the treaties themselves we clearly say that there is an obligation to support our farmers, that there is an obligation to maintain food production, and there is an obligation as well that this food is at affordable prices for our consumers. And I think that is a very strong point to find for. What for me is important, that we remain the masters and that we are of the different instruments in the current common agriculture policy, that they are maintained, because they have proven over the last more than 6 decades that it works and that they deliver on the objectives. And then also I clearly say that we need to maintain the financial firing power of those instruments, and that is the basis on which I'm fighting. But of course I would like to see a strong budget as well for the future, because otherwise our nice political agenda that we have set as well in the vision for the future of agriculture and food just will lacking of the materials. And I say also, if we have to feed more priorities with the same money, then every priority will be starving. And that I said as well in one of the meetings before, we can't build a continent on an empty stomach, and I think that is something that we need to clearly take on into these discussions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hansen, for your thoughts and all of your comments and the answers and the insights. It was really valuable and really inspiring, I would say. One big round of applause for Mr. Hansen. Thank you for your time. Have a nice time in Croatia. And tomorrow is the wine festival in Kutina, near Zagreb. So please, if you're staying in Croatia, come and taste some Croatian wines in Kutina. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure.